This is the UTV 44 Game of the Week Preview Show, brought to you by Metro PCS.
It is our pregame show for the UTV 44 Game of the Week. Here this week we are in Spanish Fort as we've got a matchup between Spanish Fort and Blount back in region play this week after a couple of great non-region games that we watched here. Last week we saw Blount and McGill do battle here on UTV 44, and we are at the Daphne location of Metro PCS 28825 US Highway 98, right over here by the Smoothie King. And do want to remind you from our friends here at Metro PCS, if you're going to the game this weekend, be sure to check out your ticket. On the back of the ticket, there's some great offers from Metro PCS. Matter of fact, the best offers in wireless. So you can take it to any location, like the one here in Daphne that we're at tonight. So before we preview last week's game, Dan, let's talk a little bit about the game. Let's talk a little bit about last week's game. Blount and McGill, you know, Lev is going to join us here in a minute, but both those coaches talked about how important those non-region games are. Those weeks you have, you get to pick your opponent, and it's really, I don't think either coach looked at it about so much as what was going to happen that week, more the dividends that could be paid down the road.
Yeah, and you certainly you want to win every game. You'd like to win that game too, but the main thing is to be in a competitive game with an opponent that is going to kind of sharpen you as a tool for what happens down the road, because we're talking about teams like Blount have got aspirations beyond the regular season.
McGill too.
And McGill as well. So I think we were really impressed with Blount's physicality. They decided they were just going to try to run the ball. They didn't really make any big splash plays like you're used to seeing with Blount. We'll talk to Liv about that. But they came out committed to running the ball, and we'll get in, and had some success as well. So we'll get into what the mindset was there. McGill, again, very solid and was able to pull away for the win, but a very competitive game.
And I think Lev will say that, you know, he didn't think Leopards played bad in that game. Like, it wasn't a game where they played poorly. I think he'll talk about that going up against McGill. And, McGill, coming into the year, so many people lost so much. They've got one returning starter on defense, and they're
new
5-0.
quarterback.
And they're 5-0. They just keep being McGill.
Well, I think, when you look at them as opposed to last year, skill-wise, they're a little more limited, but the coach's kid is a tough hombre at running back, right? If he's 180 pounds, I'm not sure about that, but he gives you everything he's got. Skilled player, tough player. McGill likes to run the ball, and they want to pressure you on defense and try to keep you out of the big play by pressuring the quarterback. That's what they did the other night, so no big surprise. Is it a surprise that McGill is 5-0? Maybe to some, but the fact is we've seen a very consistent McGill team for the past 5, 7, 8, 10 years.
I think one thing we took away from that game, Sheldon Lehman, the junior quarterback, and you pointed out earlier, you just in the broadcast said, "Well, I really like how poised he is, the decisions that he makes. Didn't make bad decisions, and really probably one of those quarterbacks you're just watching grow as the season goes on. And by the time McGill gets to the playoffs, they're going to have a very experienced junior quarterback under center or out of the shotgun."
Well, Blount is the kind of defense that will make a first-year quarterback.
Yeah, especially this young man we're going to talk to, Cortland Martin.
They'll make you make mistakes, And so I thought the kid did a really good job. And also he showed some flashes of the ability to run the ball against a very physical and fast defense. So good for McGill, but good for Blount for getting that game in. Now it's back to, and playing very well in it. Now it's back to region play, and now we really start to kind of set the table for the playoffs.
Yeah, 3-1 in the region are the Blount Leopards, 4-0 are the Spanish Fort Toros. So obviously this is a big game. But you just, Saraland, Daphne, Blount, Spanish Fort, those four in this region, they are the teams that you've got to talk about all the time and be excited when you get a chance to see them on TV like we do this week. We're on the Hill this week, Spanish Fort and Blount. We'll come back. We'll talk with Lev Holly and Cortland Martin of the Blount Leopards as we get ready for our matchup tonight here on UTV 44. Blount and Spanish Fort. Kickoff comes up in about 25 minutes. show tonight. Our pregame location is in the Daphne location, 28825 Highway 98 right here in Daphne. And Jim Cox, Dan Brennan, Lev Holly, the coach of the Blount Leopards, and Cortland Martin. Great to talk with this young man. We talk about him so much during the games, and especially Vic Lockett, who really likes this young man.
If you're watching the game and you got a microphone in front of your mouth, you're going to talk about him because he does a lot of things that get your attention.
Coach, we had you here last week before the McGill game, talked about that game, and I'm just not trying to put words in your mouth, but I think you had to come away from that game and say, like, you know, tough game, great opponent, but Leopards didn't play poorly in that game at all.
We didn't. Thought we played, you know, I think defense played with an edge, that swagger that we talk about, just cultural based. Thought it was very electrifying. Offensive-wise, we came out and I think we did the things that we wanted to do, establish the run. But I think you got to give credit to Coach Hill and the defensive staff. They made some adjustments, and you know we missed out on some key reads, missed out on some key plays. But overall, I thought it was a, you know, it was a well-played game. I thought we had more yards, but I think we didn't. You know, we was -1 in the turnover ratio. So I just got to correct those things and come back to the drawing board and hope to play a great Spanish 14 with a different edge and a different mindset.
You know, we talked about, you know, going up against a team like McGill, and you say, okay, so it's somebody you put on the schedule, they've got tradition, they're going to look like playoff teams. But I thought you a great point. It's almost from a coaching standpoint too. Like you're going up against some of the best coaches. And so you talked about adjustments, and it's like it's not just the players that benefit, it's like coaching staffs on both teams can benefit from what they're seeing in a non-region matchup like this.
Well, it's a challenge. I mean, we talking about, you know, you think about early, you're thinking about, you know, Jeff Kelly, if I had the opportunity to work with for 3 years and, you know, just how good he is. Then you go and you talk about, you know, Ernest Hill and McGill staff that's very seasoned. Now, step in this week, talk about Ben Blackman, his staff, who's very seasoned. You know, and not to discredit my staff. You know, I think my guys does a great job. Lonzo Johnson, offensive coordinator. You know, Lee Smith, defensive coordinator. Melvin Jones, special team coordinator. You know, those guys does a great job. But when you start talking about staffs, you know, it's a chess match. And I think, you know, you're dealing with, you know, one of the best in the state. I think, you know, and Coach Blackman and his staff. But I also think, you know, it comes down to who's going to make plays, who's going to execute, and who's going to win the special team battle. So hopefully we can get in and, you know, just find a way to do things right. You know, if we do things right, hey, we'll deal with the results after that.
Well, he does a lot of things right.
He does.
Listen, I've got my guy with me this week. Like he's got my guy with me this week.
I think every quarterback that you have to play, when they open their locker, it should have like your picture there. Like, don't forget about this guy right here. Talk about your play on the edge, what you like to do, and how you've been so successful in playing defensive end, especially getting after quarterbacks.
Well, it all started in the summertime, you know, working out, lifting weights every day, you know. You know, I like the bull rush, I like the spin move, you know, I like to mix it up, get the offensive line off guard, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Coach Blackman over there listening intently on every word that he's talking about, what he likes to do. So, you know, region games, always a important game, rivalry, but like Blount Spanish Fort, I mean, this is a very nice budding rivalry that's just, you know, has really blossomed and has, you know, since both teams have been in the same region, and I think both teams know what's at stake at this game tonight.
Yep, it's going to be a hard-fought game, and we're going to see who's going to get the victory. Win the 0-0, get on the scoreboard.
Tough place to play on the hill in Spanish Fort, but also, and your coach talks about this before as many times, about it's a great atmosphere to be in a high school football game, right?
Yeah, it's like a college atmosphere when you go to Spanish Fort. It's like the crowd, you barely can hear anything on the field, so you gotta communicate, make sure you communicate with your teammates, you know, make sure they hear the calls in the back end, you know.
Yeah, and coming out to 8 Mile, the atmosphere is not bad. Not bad there either. So back in region play, and boy, you know, a win by the Leopards, and suddenly that region, I mean, it's tight, but all of a sudden it's like it's back to the drawing board for everybody, isn't it?
Well, I think it's, you know, it's kind of, you know, my first year being in that situation, or the first year we was over there, it was like Spanish Fort gave us our first loss, and he happened, you know, there's one kid that can actually say he was a part of that 41-38 game. He, you know, he started what 20 or 31 games. So
unreal.
It is. That was a true freshman. He walked in and started from day one.
You're saying he'll start this Friday, just so it's he's going to start.
He will start this Friday. But I think, you know, that, I mean, and like I told my kids, you know, this is a game that you got to take everything in. You got this lead on the line. We can't afford to drop this one. You know, we have to go in and really put ourselves in position and give ourselves a chance to win. If we get beat doing the things that we've been coached to do, doing the things we've been taught to do, and doing it with doing the things that is in our culture, then hey, we'll deal with it. But I think if we go in and we can't be flat. You know, and I think at times, a couple games this year, we've came out really flat and had to go in and fight. But I think this is a week where we just go in and just do the things that we've been coached to do, and hey, we'll let it go from there. You know, we don't expect it to be easy and don't want it easy.
Right.
You know, we want to go in and get the win, but whatever we got to do to execute, and that's what we're going to do.
Well, we certainly expect a great atmosphere tonight here at Spanish Fort. Right now, we're at the Metro PCS 28-825 Highway 98 in Daphne. And if you're headed to the game tonight, be sure to check the back of your ticket. They've got special offers at any of the Metro PCS, any of the locations. The best deals in wireless are right on the back of your ticket. When we come back, we'll talk Spanish Fort Toros. Coach Ben Blackman and Brennan Sharp is with us here as we get ready for tonight's matchup between Blount and Spanish Fort here on UTV 44. UTV 44 game of the week, Spanish Fort. Our first, it's, you know, usually by this time of the season, we've been to Spanish Fort before. Our first trip to the Hill. Tonight, Jim Cox, Dan Brennan, Brennan Sharp, DB for the Toros. Ben Blackman, head coach of the Toros. And when Ben walked in tonight, I kind of reminded him of a little conversation we had on the field before the Daphne game. And he said, you know, if we can get this one here tonight, we got a chance to get some things rolling. And that's kind of like exactly what's happened from play on the field, confidence, your kids growing up as we get ready for the Blount game.
Yeah, I think our kids are playing well, and they're getting more and more confident as each week comes on, and they get to play on Friday nights. And they've really worked hard this last week and week and a half, and just working on the fundamentals and having that off week, and they're excited about going back and playing on Friday and playing a great opponent, you know, in Blount. So
it's got to be rewarding to see a team grow, because you were just saying, you know, the team we were in week 1 and week 2, we're a much different football team right now. It's going to be very rewarding for a coach to see that.
Yes, we are. We're a more mature team. We've made some moves around personnel in different spots that's helped us, and you know, so we, you know, we're getting better. We're getting more with the more reps we get, the more experience we gain, and the better our kids play. So,
you know, one thing that you were in the week we saw you against Daphne was this vintage Spanish Fort, and that you were tough.
Yeah.
And the game was tough.
Yeah.
We'll talk to Brennan about that a little bit. It was a very hotly contested game. And not only did you compete and compete very well, you won the game.
Yeah.
What has your team gotten better at since that slugfest? Where are you more comfortable with your team in terms of production?
I think our offensive line has gotten better. You know, you got to give credit to Daphne, and their defensive front is tremendous. And you know, we struggled running the football against them, and we struggled in all phases offensively. You know, in that game, and we've gotten better. You know, we've made some changes. We've gone back to the fundamentals of being simple in what we're trying to do offensively. You know, our defense has just gotten better each week. You know, they really have. And
they were pretty good that week.
Yeah, they played outstanding. You know, and that's the one thing about our program. I think that I hope when people look at Spanish Fort is they know, man, they're a bunch of tough kids, mentally tough kids that, you know, they play with character, they play with class, but they're going to get after you when you spot the ball and blow the whistle. You know,
at the beginning of the year, there were a lot of people talking about almost like same conversation that people may be having about McGill. Spanish Fort's lost a lot of players. Maybe it's not going to be the year, and you were the first one to say, hey, expectations do not change, and it's a credit to players like yourself that it's like, hey, this is our year, this is how we're going to start, and we're going to be the Toros, right?
Yes, sir. I mean, we're not going to take those. We're not going to be a rebuilding team. Every year, our goal is to win a state championship, and I mean, you see all those headlines and everything, but we're just going to go after it every single game.
And then here they are.
Yeah, here they are. Brennan Sharp, first I want to congratulate you on having a superior first name. Secondly, I want to, you know, this toughness of Spanish Fort that we've seen for years and years and years, you've kind of grown up in it.
Yes,
Have you
sir.
always had expectations that your team was going to be tough and was going to win football games? And tell me a little bit about that Daphne game and the experience. You said you'd never forget it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was a battle. You know, I've grown up here. I've lived here since I was 3 years old. So just watching, I've seen the first team play here, and just we're always going to play tough. And that Daphne game was just a true example of Spanish Fort football, and we battled from the very beginning to the end.
To talk about the Blount Leopards you go in, Coach Holly was just talking about you, but you know, you come in and it's like, okay, so Blount's lost 2 of 3. Great opponents. They're coming off a non-region 7A matchup, and it's like, yeah, nobody's going to feel sorry for the Blount Leopards, what they're going to bring to the table here for the game tonight.
No, absolutely. You know, Coach Holly does an outstanding job over there, and he's got them playing really hard. And no, they didn't win the game on the scoreboard versus McGill, but they did some really, really good things on the field. They played hard. Their kids play hard. They're going to play hard every Friday night. Got a lot of talent, and you know, he does as good as anybody in getting his kids to believe. And when they come over Friday night, they're going to believe they can win, and they're going to play as hard as they can. And we don't expect anything less, you know, in our locker room from what we're going to be faced with on Friday. So.
Yeah, it's going to be a great atmosphere, and Cortland was just talking about the fact that, you know, it feels like a college game when you come over there.
And just a reminder to those who may not be familiar with all that's going on tonight, what these teams mean and who they are. It was 2 seasons ago where we had the highest ratings probably ever seen for a high school football game, regular season game on UTV 44.
And the crowd was, it might have been the biggest gate, one of the biggest gates ever at Spanish Fort.
Blount at Spanish Fort.
Yeah.
Amazing game, huh?
Yeah, it's always a good game, you know, when we play Blount. You know, like I said, he does a great job in this program, and he brings a team that's going to be ready to play on Friday, and we've got to get ourselves ready to play. And we know it's going to be a tough matchup. Nothing's going to be easy, and it's just like he said earlier, you know, we don't want it that way. You know, we want our kids strive. They want to play in games like this. They want to play the best, because if your true expectations is to be playing in December in one of the college stadiums, then you got to face opponents like the Blount Leopards. You know, you got to face those guys, and you know, and you got to, that's how you know if you can get there, you know, well, if you can play with them.
When you two coaches take jobs in the SEC of high school football down here, this is what you get on a weekly basis. Brennan, great to see you. Coach, stick around. We'll have our last segment coming up. We're about 10 minutes from kickoff. We're here at Metro PCS in Daphne on Highway 98. Again, check your tickets if you're going to the game tonight. Special offers that you can redeem at any location in Mobile or Baldwin County. Lev Holly joins us next for our final segment. Then we get you ready to head up to the hill. Spanish Fort and Blount tonight here on UTV 44. Sometimes when we're looking at the schedule and trying to pick out what is the game of the week, we're kind of going back and forth and we should do this one, like no doubt. This was the one we were going to do. That it wasn't even close.
No debate in the room.
No.
So we were talking about we can't wait for this game to kick off.
Oh, we're so excited. So Brennan Sharp, who is just here, very good-looking young man that was just sitting here, but you're like, yeah, but he's not the pretty one in the family, right?
No. His sister's our homecoming queen, and she's a sweet little girl, and just so proud of Kate. And
twin sister, right?
Twin sister.
Twin sister. How about that? Yeah.
How about you got to pass an interview with Brennan to get within like 20 feet of her?
I'd rather pass an interview with this Brennan than that Brennan. I'll be honest
kidding.
With you on,
because I don't look like a bouncer.
On that. So Blount and Spanish Fort tonight here on UTV 44, big 6A region matchup. 4-0 in the region, 3-1 in the region. So we're excited for it. It's going to be a great game. So our last.
Right to it, huh?
Our last. Well, I mean, we've kind of covered it all. And this,
right to
it. I mean, this. They're looking forward to this more than the game itself.
I don't think so.
No pressure on this. Like, there's no pressure on. No pressure on this. And we've actually we'll even start with Ben in, Ben out. Sriracha hot sauce.
I'm out.
Out.
No good.
No hot sauce. That's not even that hot. Oh my! I'm mildly embarrassed for the. Not you. I get. Like I get you. Hot sauce. It wasn't pork. I mean, I know you're not a pork guy.
Hot sauce is too violent for me.
All right. So, owning an expensive cooler like a Yeti or my personal favorite, an Orca.
I'm in.
He's in.
I'm out.
Yeah.
Only if I win it in a drawing.
I did win one in a fishing tournament.
I mean, I'll take one if you're going to give it to me.
I have way too much personal wealth tied up in coolers that just should not. I should not be spending.
You live on the water.
All right. So, letting a dog kiss your face.
No. Out.
Out.
In.
Oh, I'm so in. Like so in. Yeah,
that's disgusting. You know that.
Yeah, but I love dogs. All right. Not a germaphobe or anything. They just don't like dog slobber. I get it. Reese's peanut butter cups as we get close to Halloween.
Out.
In deference to Phil Savage, in.
I'm in.
Yeah, my wife bought the miniature. Like I can one time like 37 of them in a row, and it's awful, awful. House needs. Where did I start last time? I started over there. House needs pressure washing. Do it yourself or hire somebody.
Oh, I'm in. I'm doing it.
Yeah, you're in.
Out. People do that.
Yeah.
I'm out.
You know me. I could hurt myself. Come on.
You would damage the
hurt
house
myself.
and yourself. Probably
Exactly.
yourself more. I just, I hit my privacy fence one time this last weekend. I was like, now I got to do the whole thing. I was like, I was dumb on that. Late night TV. Seth Meyers.
Out.
I'm not stay up at night.
No.
I have no idea who Seth Meyers is. I'm asleep behind 30.
So I like that. All right. So speaking of TV, halftime. Justin Timberlake playing the halftime show. In on Timberlake at halftime.
That's dangerous. They're putting him on halftime show at Super Bowl. It's very dangerous. Last time that happened, that wasn't a good idea.
So you'll be in what? You'll be glued to it, right? Glued to it. In, yeah. Yeah, I think he's a super talented guy. All right. You just traveled 2 weeks ago to watch your son play football. Shorts on an airplane, in or out?
I am in.
In.
Yeah. Larry David on Curb Your Enthusiasm hates it. All right, lastly, somebody popping their gum. Tara Reeves, popping your gum.
Oh, yeah, I blow bubbles too.
In is terror.
Oh, I can't stand it. Drives me crazy. Kickoff comes up next. Blount and Spanish Ford. Jim Cox and Dan Brennan will head to the booth. We'll head to the sidelines. Kickoff coming up from the hill right after this here on UTV 44.
Tara gets it.